y'all, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Paula, but you may know me from Instagram or Facebook as Pragmatic Paula. Today I'm going to be sharing 4 easy gift wrap tricks that will make your gifts look polished and chic with very little effort. And no, you don't have to be great at gift wrapping to do any of these. Also, be sure to stay tuned until the end of today's video for a bonus tip. So I have a confession to make. I am a terrible gift wrapper. All of the measuring the paper and having the sharp creases and the really nice corners, I just do not excel at doing that, all of those little details. And so for the longest time, what I would do is I would simply give my gifts in a gift bag. And there is absolutely no shame in that game. Really simple, really efficient. I get it. But when I would go to functions, I would see people giving and receiving gifts, especially at, Christmas time. And the gifts would be these beautifully wrapped, carefully packaged gifts. And I'm thinking, I want to be able to do that. So I really sat down this past week and thought about how can I give gifts and have them gift wrapped and really feel proud of the job that I've done on them and the presentation. So what I've done is I have devised a really simple strategy that is going to enable myself and you, if you aren't a great wrapper either, to really feel proud about the gifts you're going to give. And that strategy is distraction. And it works beautifully. And what I mean by that is we are going to use ribbons and bows and doodads and greenery to really be able to draw attention to those details and kind of work as distraction away from maybe a subpar wrapping job. So follow me down to the floor and I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. So like I mentioned earlier, I am not great at the actual gift wrapping stage. So I'm not going to sit here and show you step by step how to wrap a gift. There are other tutorials on that, and frankly, I am just not an expert in that field, so it would not behoove you at all to watch me do that. But I do have a few strategies, and the only thing is to use a monochromatic paper. That way, if you have, if you've not cut enough paper for the gift you're wrapping, if you need to sneak a little bit in at the end, you can do that much more easily when you're just working with one single color of paper as opposed to having a paper that has a really busy pattern. So that's kind of tip number 1. Tip number 2 is to pick your tape dispenser. I recommend either using a tape dispenser that has pop-up tapes that are ready to go. This is a Scotch brand, and I actually found this at the dollar store, and sometimes you can find the refills there as well. The other thing is if you have particularly coarse or thick paper and you need a little bit stronger tape than just Scotch tape, I find that double stick tape works really well. So keep that in mind. Lastly, sometimes instead of a scissor, I find it easier to work with one of these wrapping, slice tools. I don't even know what you call this, that you just zoom down your paper to cut off the section that you need. It just tends to bunch less, I find. But now I'm going to get into the actual gift wrap accents that are going to make your gifts look beautiful. All right, so this first technique that I'm going to do is called the double wrap bow. That's not the official name, it's just what I've given it. So you're going to want to take your ribbon that you select. I kind of selected sort of like a medium size ribbon here, and you're just going to want to take it around your gift, and you are going to wrap it twice. So this is the bottom of my package. I'm now turning it over. When I pull it up here, I'm going to have basically 2 lines. Now what you're going to want to do is make sure, because you're going to just make a bow after this. So if you're short like I am on this end of the ribbon, you're just going to want to work it all down to make sure that you give yourself enough ribbon to then be able to make a bow. So that's what I've done here. I probably have a little bit too much, but I'd rather have too much than too little. So I'm going to cut it off. So now I've got 1 line, these are about even, and I have 2 lines. All right, so then I'm just going to take it, I'm going to crisscross, pull them down, and then what I like to do is I like to actually go ahead and just make a double knot. That way I don't have to fight to keep it together so much. So once you do that, it's just going to be making your regular bow, pulling it through. And how nice of a presentation is that for your gift? So that looks really nice. And then from there, if you wanted, you could hang something like, your to from tag or down this way, whatever you want. Maybe tuck a card in there. You might have to tie it a little tighter, but you could tuck a card in there. So this is going to be gift wrapping option number 1, my double wrap bow. This next technique that I'm going to be doing is going to require more, instead of a ribbon, it's going to be more like a string, right? brown paper packages tied up with string. So you're going to use your string along with some doodads. And what I mean by that are just, you know, little baubles, things that you can find, greenery. I found these cute little like Christmas bulbs at AC Moore, and I'm going to use these and the string, and that's going to make a really pretty presentation. So this one, you're going to start off with your string, and you're going to need a lot of it. So go ahead and pull off kind of as much as you think you might need to make a ribbon at the end, and just that's going to give you kind of your little tail out here to start with. And then from there, it's really just a matter of winding it around in as thick of a grouping as you like. All right, so I've done all my wrapping. Now I'm just going to kind of use my thumbs, work all of these down together so that they are side by side. Okay, so that's, you know, maybe half an inch at best. But like I said, for the sake of time, we're just going to call it a day there. So again, you have your tail out here. We're going to kind of pull a little bit of a tail over here. Let me find my scissors. I'm going to cut, and again, I'm cutting a little bit extra because I'd rather have too much and trim it away than not have enough and have to go make a whole other section. So now again, I'm just going to knot it up. I'm going to make my crisscross, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this farther down here with the first crisscross before I start to tighten to make my double knot. That way it just kind of makes it a little tighter. And then from there, you're kind of ready to rock and roll with your doodads. So I'm just going to take my little bulbs. I'm going to tie one onto this string. I'm going to thread this one onto this string, although this one has come a little bit loose. If that happens to you, you may have to take a lighter and just singe the edges to get them tight, but we're okay here. All right, so then from there, I'm just going to be making my bow, although I am going to first, again, just do my double knot just to give it a little bit of security, and then do my second knot. All right, and then from there, you're just going to make your bow. Whoop. Okay. And then I probably would like a little smaller of a bow for the gift. So I'm going to pull those down, make it a little tight, and then I'm just going to trim off my strings a little bit, have a little bit that hangs, and there you go. So that's option number 2. Again, super simple, really cheap with the bow, and it makes a really nice presentation. And again, you could tuck a card into there. You could put one of your to from cards. You could also thread that in with the little doodad. So whatever you want, sky's the limit on your options. All right, so this third gift wrapping method is going to sort of look like a wreath in the middle of your gift. How cute is that, right? So what I did was I started with my greenery that I just got at the craft store. You can find it at, you know, it might look several different ways, but I liked this particular kind because it had both red and green with the little faux berries in there. So you're going to want to take that and wrap about, you know, 1 or 2 coils. I thought 2 looked pretty hardy. So you're going to start with that and put it in the center just to look like your wreath on your package. And then from there, actually with this ribbon, I used it on a previous project. So I'm just going to take the rest of it off of the spool and go from there. But you're going to just go ahead and use your ribbon to cross the top of the wreath. And you're going to want to pull it pretty tight as you're flipping your package over just so it doesn't fall out. Then you're going to take your 2 ends and cross them. Uh-oh, see what I did here? I wasn't pulling it real tight and the wreath got away, but that's okay. All right, so you're gonna wanna cross them and then flip your package back over, and I'm gonna pull on these. All right, just making sure it's all laying nicely in the same direction because love is in the details. All right, so I'm pulling it taut, and then just like we did on all the other ones, we're gonna do crisscross and another crisscross to make a tight double knot because this ribbon is all that's securing this greenery on here. There's no tape. All right, so then from there, I'm just gonna make my bow. There you have it, a cute little wreath in the middle of your gift. How cute is that? All right, so this last wrapping technique is going to be great if you have a larger item. This is actually a diaper box in here, so if that just kind of gives you a little bit of reference for the size. What you're going to want to do is choose a thicker ribbon that's going to take up more surface area of your gift. And you're going to want to take that, and basically we're just going all around it. So I'm going to start at the top, I'm going to measure to the center, and then I'm going to cut my ribbon. I'm going to go a little bit longer because, again, you know my theme. It's always good to have extra because it's a lot harder to try to add it later. All right. And then here I'm going to use my double stick tape because, again, I feel like that's much stronger. And I'm going to use that to secure my ribbon edges. To basically call this done. Now, I know that looks a little plain, but what I recommend doing is going ahead and taking one of your two frame cards. Again, this is another thing I found at AC Moore for super cheap. And then you can just use your twine or the strings that they come with, whatever you have, and you can just tie the two frame card from there. So that kind of zhuzhes it up. And again, between the thickness of the ribbon and the length of your two frame card, that is really going to take up a lot of the surface area without putting in a whole lot of work. So that's going to be a really pretty fourth method for you. Well, that's it for today. I hope you have enjoyed these wrapping techniques. I know your friends and family are going to be really impressed. And you know, they say love is in the details. And today we are working on fine-tuning those details so the ones we care about can know just how much we love them. So wanted to mention that I'd love for you to come back again next week because it's going to be my winter edition of Rock the Crock. So you don't want to miss that. And until we meet back here again next week, may the Lord bless and multiply your time. Bye. So as promised, I have one final bonus tip for you, and that is to use a bag. Seriously, the techniques I showed you today are all really simple, but if this is not your season of life where you have the time to be able to do that, that's okay. Just save it for next year. And in the meantime, go hug your kids and send your husband a text using only emojis. Bye.